This comes from Housing Wire, an industry media source. A lot of good articles we find here, right, Darren?
Sure, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
do you want me to race through this a little bit and then we'll make comments as we go?
Sure. This is the shorter one. Gosh, the other article is a mile long. So let's read
Okay.
this one and then we can chat
Okay.
about it.
All right. All right. Are home updates actually worth it right now? Should you update your home before putting it on the market? 3 in 4 homeowners say they'd rather replace their appliances than accept a low offer on their home, according to a study by Cinch Home Services. Cinch Home Services surveyed over 1,000 homeowners and renters to figure out how important updates are in the home buying process. And they discovered that a majority of homeowners think upgrading their appliances will increase their home value by almost $14,000. Due to this ideology, over half of homeowners plan to upgrade their appliances before putting their homes on the market. Almost 60% will repair or replace their air conditioner. Almost 46% will prioritize their dishwasher, and about 40% will take a close look at their water heater. Examine return on investment. Unfortunately, upgrading your appliances won't necessarily allow for a huge return on investment. While upgrades can make your home more desirable, you may not completely recoup the cost of what you spent. Take major kitchen remodels, for example. According to 2021 research, the average cost to remodel a kitchen was around $75,000. This included upgrades like a built-in microwave, dishwasher, custom lighting, etc. But even with these changes, that only added $43,000 to the resale value, and the cost recouped was about 57%. On the other hand, a simple garage replacement costs an average about $4,000 and adds about $3,000 to the resale value, bringing the cost recouped at 94%. Here are a few other updates with the highest return on investment. Stone veneer, average cost $10,386, average resale value $9,571, cost recouped 92.1%. Minor kitchen remodel, average cost $26,214, average resale value $18,927, cost recouped 72.2%. Sliding replacement, I'm guessing sliding door. Average cost $19,626. Average resale value $13,618. Cost recouped 69.4%. Renovations can be beneficial. Certain home improvements are considered capital improvements. For example, if you replace your flooring, upgrading kitchen appliances, etc., that falls under capital improvements. While not every upgrade will increase your home's value, when you sell your house, you can write off your capital improvements. If you refinance your home after you've made upgrades, your home will most likely appraise higher than when you bought it. This means you can potentially increase your home's equity and value and lower your loan to value ratio. Bottom line, renovations might make you feel better about putting your home on the market one day. While we're currently living in a seller's market, people looking to sell their homes may not need to put in the effort right now, but having an upgraded home wouldn't hurt. Wow, there's a lot there.
There is, and I
A lot
disagree
of
with a lot.
unknowns.
I disagree with a lot of it, and only because of our approach. Right, a lot of numbers that to me don't jive.
Right.
So yes, the basic formula of return on dollar is the most important thing, and that's what they're highlighting. But where you start and where you end up, there is what can be regulated or managed a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So there are a couple things that end up first off, when somebody buys a home, we're happy. We like being there for you as agents, and if you're thinking about improvements or remodeling, we're happy to chat with you. Often, their lives are fluid, and they're thinking, maybe I'll sell in 3 to 5 years. Hey, Darren, do you think this upgrade is worth it? What do you
Right.
think it should cost? Do you think I'll get it when I go to sell? And I'm going to say, no, digging out your basement, to have a rec room probably isn't worth it. But a good kitchen remodel done at a reasonable price would be. And in many cases, I say to people, gosh, if you have the chance, live with that remodel for a little while.
Yeah.
One of the toughest things is you do it right as you get ready to sell. And that's fine. I mean, you'll get the highest return that way because it'll be the newest. But you can also live with it for a while if it makes sense to do it while you live there. So with that said, it does come down to the cost of doing the work and whether it makes sense. And we talked about this, Joe, and we basically determined that the most important thing is to get to the largest pool of potential buyers, right? So entry level housing from a price point perspective already has the largest pool of buyers, right? So maybe if you can get away with not remodeling, that's going to be where you can, if you don't want to put the money out or if you don't have an agent that will help you invest to get a higher return, you'll probably get away with it more there than anywhere else. Because you're going to have a lot of people ready to show up and buy anyways, determined based on price point. A price point for your neighborhood or just maybe a whole neighborhood that has a certain entry level price point, depending on where you're at. But after that, you're trying to make a decision on whether to do the work based on increasing your pool of buyers, right? One of the most obvious ones that we talk about is if there's something in the property that will restrict someone from getting a loan. If there's no heat, if there's partially done construction, there are some very specific things that appraisers will cite. And that the appraiser who shows up is basically the inspector for the lender who will cite any big safety concerns. And they can request work if it's a big safety concern or, say, no, we can't loan on this property. So you do have to repair anything that might trigger that flag. The next thing becomes, what if the house just looks tired? Do you clean it up enough so that it will appeal to a broader base, even if people come in, and this is a common dynamic. It's a common dynamic out there. Even if people come in, they say, okay, I can live with this for a couple years. I'm buying my first house or my second house, but our plan is to remodel this kitchen, this bathroom, whatever, in 2 to 3 years when we've recouped from the original purchase, saved some money. And reaching that plateau is something that at minimum we strive for, because that will double or triple your pool of potential buyers and ultimately increase the price, even if they're going to remodel it either immediately or slightly down the road. But if it has to be remodeled immediately, you're going to have fewer people at the door. So it's worth doing. It's just finding a way to do it that will get you the highest return. And what do we typically say, Joe, we're looking for on a return for investment for property prep?
Up to 5 times.
Yeah, we're almost always in that 5 times range. So if you're
man, as you're saying this, I mean, recent past here, my mother's home, right?
Right.
There was a lot of deferred maintenance. We knew it was a hot market, but it was worn, and I think it definitely came back. A list price that was $549 that seemed very reasonable versus the market became a sold price of $650,000.
Right.
If I would have left it the way it was, wouldn't have happened.
Right. Sure. And I think you ended up in that 5 times range. And as you're working through it, you're like, God, this is a lot of money. Am I going to get it in return? But we've seen it consistently. So do you remodel? Maybe some cases you get away with not doing it. The other thing to look at is, is it a property that appeals to a developer, or is it really small for the neighborhood? Which means, and the neighborhood commands high prices. A lot of those properties are being sold where they're doing very large additions to move it into a higher price point. All those things need to be evaluated to determine the investment that's suggested.
Yeah, definitely a lot of nuances there, and I don't think this article really served everybody well.
Yeah, it's a great topic to discuss, though, for sure. Go.
Okay, so let me go ahead and share this other article. Let's see, and I'm not going to read it, but let me get it out to everybody. So this is the Fed creating a housing bubble by keeping rates low? And
Right.
you say?
I say partially yes. I do. Although I don't want to use the word bubble. I don't believe in the word bubble. I think I'll rephrase it. Can the Fed create a housing bubble by creating rates low? Yes, they can. I don't think we're there yet. But if it continues like well into next year, I think we could start moving in that direction or be closer to being there. So we continue to say that inventory's low. What's driving the prices are the 32 million plus buyers in their prime buying age of late 20s to late 30s. It's the largest pool of potential buyers that we've ever seen. Just an increase in population, more people are of that age group, and those people want to buy. Where will they buy? That's another question, another topic. Will it be in LA, in the areas we serve, or will they be moving out of state? I think some people are leaving because price points are high. We have the lowest, we have the highest priced area. Our affordability rate is the lowest in the country, in Los Angeles. That's tough to swallow. But it is what it is. So, definitely, I do think back to the 2000s, and whenever anyone talks about a bubble, they talk about that cycle, right? That's fresh, still in people's minds. Anybody who lived through it, it was a very tough time. But there were, probably the biggest thing there was loosen standards for lending by far. People weren't vested in the properties they were buying. They had bad credit already. They had to, it's not complicated. Low credit, pay even less than the mortgage payment, invest nothing to buy a home. It didn't take much. Everybody jumped into the market. There's substantially more stability, more regulation that came out of that era. But sometimes cycles can shift one way or the other, and there are moments where you wonder, is it too far? Is affordability too low in Los Angeles? I think right now it still makes sense, but I would be concerned if they continue to try to stimulate the overall economy, where in the end housing is getting stimulated more than other areas of the economy.
Wow, I'm going through this article.
It's a very long article.
And it's really in depth.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Thanks
it is.
for reading it.
Sure. So be aware, I think, is what the article said to me. I think the Fed, a combination of inflating for the general economy and very loose lending standards and very little regulation is what triggered the last housing bubble. All those components do not add up here. The Fed is stimulating, but the other components are not there. I hope the Fed just, steps up, makes it, stops stimulating.
I think I read it this morning, or maybe it was yesterday, but the Fed pulling back on some of this COVID relief and looking at how business is doing is going to affect this as well. So it's a couple different areas, not just housing.
Right. Yeah. And know that inflation, which is conversation on everyone's mind, although, they talk about it being a big issue and then it's in check and then it's a big issue. But inflation actually helps home prices. It helps stabilize higher price points. So know that as well. If we move into an inflationary cycle, it can definitely work in the positive direction as far as home values.
Right. Okay, guys. So you've got the articles there in the comments section. Check it out yourself. If you have more questions concerning your situation and how it relates to some of these things, we're here for you.